Hi, I'd like to share with you a few tips that I find helpful for myself and that I pass it on to you. I think these are really good tips that, yeah, are good ones. So here we go. This is a really good glide bait. You don't need expensive glide baits. I've caught probably more fish on this cheap glide bait than on a lot of my more expensive ones. And if you were to lose one of these, you won't be crying home. These are only like $15 to $20. You can find them on Amazon. They're made in China, of course, but they're good lures, and I caught plenty of 5 pound bass on it, and I caught my personal best striped bass on it, so 25 pounds. So it's a fun bait to fish, and a cheap one, so that's always a good thing. Sometimes though, you're going to want to add some weight to the bottom, so I add some suspend dots, and then I cover it with some white nail polish. Right? Um, Another thing I'll do on this particular bait, and I'll do it on some of my top waters as well, is use soft split rings instead of your round metal split rings, because I don't like a lot of miscellaneous hardware on some of my lures, and especially heavier baits that the fish could throw. I don't want the fish to have much leverage, and these allow the hooks to rotate a lot freer, right? Also, I like using hooks that are strong hooks, but aren't oversized hooks or don't stand out, like a sore thumb. I want the whole package to look fairly natural as possible, right? So I don't want, in some cases, I don't want to use black hooks, because black hook on this lighter colored bait will kind of stand out a little too much for me. All right. I'm not a big fan of this huge line tie, but what I don't want to do is add additional hardware on the front of this lure that might detract from the overall profile of the bait, right? So in that case, I use 17-pound test fluorocarbon and a double San Diego jam knot tied directly to that eye. All right, and yeah, it's a good lure, so I'd recommend it. Um, so let me show you how to tie this soft split ring. Now, the first time I learned about this was through the guys at the Salt Strong site. That was several years ago, and since then I find that a lot of the bass professionals are actually using soft split rings. All right. One of the drawbacks to that, however, is if you store this lure with other lures, you're going to have some problems, because this hook will find its way into that braided line, and you'll have a hard time removing it. It's like getting a hook out of a piece of rope. It's if you ever had a hook in a rope, you'll know how fun it is to try to remove it. So um, anyways, let me show you how to tie that soft split ring real quick. Okay, what you need is about a 1 foot section of 80-pound braid. I like using this Power Pro braid, but you can use any type of braid. You can use 65-pound test. I usually use 80 for most of my lures, but on some of the smaller lures I use 65-pound test. So here's your lure, here's your braided line. All right, so you just pass it through, double it up, pass it through. You get your hook, and you pass that through. Okay, you create a little loop up here, little loop just like that, and then you pass your tag ends sideways through that loop, just like this. Okay. All right, so just like that. All right. So then you have your hook here. Here's going to be your split ring. So you need something to hold that open, right? I like using a pegboard peg because it has that angle. It's really helpful. Or a little screwdriver. So whatever diameter you want to put it through here. Okay, in this case, for demonstration purposes, I'll just use a pen. All right, so you just let it all come down here and cinch it down against your lure, right? Just like that. All right, so you have your hook in there. You have a ring created with the pen. Sometimes you'll have to move this pen up and down to if in case you have any crisscrosses, you can sometimes work it out. In most cases, you can work it out by just moving the pen up and down. All right, and then to finish this off, all you do is two overhand knots, so 2 square knots. So you do one, right, and then you do it one more time. So it's like tying your shoe, but tying a knot, right? All right, and then all you do is you just cut it with a scissor right there, and then you get a big lighter and you just burn the ends off. You just burn the ends off real quick, and it kind of makes it nice and clean, nice clean cut, right? And then you're done. You just remove this, and then you have your little split ring, soft ring right there, okay, with your hook attached. All right, so that's it. I have one more tip to share with you. When you store your reels, it's a good idea to use like a rubber band here. It's helpful, at least for me it is. If you're done fishing for the day, you can always take it out of your, to store your reels by itself. You can always do this as well and just hook it onto the reel seat. But I'll show you how to just attach it here real quick. Another thing is this rod's really good. I caught a lot of fish on this cheap rod. It's the Berkley Lightning rod, and it's only a $40 rod, but I got them on sale for like $30, and so I stocked up on them. But I caught a lot of fish on this setup here. It's a cheap rod, decent reel. This is Daiwa Tatula. If you want a cheap, good setup, it's 7-foot medium heavy action. It's a good one. I caught a lot of fish on it. All right, so let me show you how to tie that rubber band on there real quick. So you have a rubber band, you have your line. All you do is pass it through, and then you make a loop around it, right? One end of the rubber band basically, and then you pass it through the rubber band again. And it's really easy. I mean, it's just like it's just basically a loop-to-loop connection. That's it. All right. All right. So then you just hook that onto your reel, and you're done. And then when you want to go fishing the next day, you just work it out here, work the rubber band off, and then you could just tie on without having to waste any line. All right. So that's it, and hope that helps, and we'll see you next time.